Hey, thank you everybody for being here. Waiting while we dealt with some tech issues. Mr. Macker will not be attending tonight, sends his regrets. I'd like to start the meeting by asking everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Leslie, roll call, please.
Mark DePace.
Here.
Amanda Grubler.
Here.
Kirsten Gustafson.
Here.
Diana Howard.
Here.
Matthew Mackerer. Maureen Sheridan.
Here.
And Labona Prova.
Here.
Great. And I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Great. Brings us to our student representative report.
So the first 2 weeks of school went by. The 2020 class of 2027 is holding 2 fundraisers. They're selling hot cocoa during lunch, and they have a car wash this weekend. So please come by and try to support. The homecoming is the October 3rd, and the dance is October 4th. And see any class of 2026 officer to buy tickets. Triumph is thinking about holding a movie night. Field Day is planned by Student Council. It's going to be held October 3rd. Clubs, again, are starting up, like Model UN and Mock Trial. Both had their meeting this Monday and will be continuing next week. Envirothon will have their first meeting next week, Thursday. And for the transition on the phone ban, it's been going okay. You know, it's definitely a rough process. In class, there's definitely improvement, but outside, like during passing periods and lunch, there still needs to be work.
Great. Thank you for that update. There are no recognitions or presentations. Brings us to board reports. Audit committee has not met since the last report. We should be scheduling a meeting for sometime later in October or November. Facilities?
We just had our meeting today. It was a pretty good meeting, a couple of updates. Kindergarten bike rack has been installed to accommodate young riders on that side of the building since they enter through a different area. Personnel, the maintenance staff is now fully staffed thanks to taking on 2 new employees. We are continuing to work on the pool. The pool pack motor, which I had to learn about, is being replaced, and we hope that the pool, Tyler hopes that the pool will be open in the foreseeable future. I don't want to put a date on it because that's putting a deadline on him, but they're moving pretty fast to do an in-house repair to conserve some funds rather than having a contractor do it. I think they deserve a little recognition because it's a significant lift. So let's see, sewer line that had collapsed prior to the start of school has been fixed. It was actually an old fix that had failed. It was a complex dig that they undertook to make sure that that was not only repaired, but hopefully will resist future failures. The music room at MCS is getting some updates that I think will help those kids to have a better experience. Greenhouse groundbreaking was completed before our last meeting, and that's moving forward. Drills have been successful, the standard evacuation drills, and lockdown is coming. A little bit of equipment updates and kind of general maintenance there. And the capital project is continuing to go through its usual paperwork, contracts, reviews, some legal reviews and things like that. So we're moving forward.
Amazing. Thank you. Policy committee.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Last week we had our first meeting of our expanded policy committee, so I want to officially welcome Crystal Jeffs, Elise Hilton, Nikki Janito, and Walter Voss to our policy committee. This brings in parent perspective, community perspective, middle and high school perspective from within our district. And we're just super excited to bring all of those folks together in our meeting last week then, because we had power in numbers. We were able to split into 2 groups and tackle 2 big buckets of policy. So we had a group focused on sort of IT updates and making sure that we hit some like important pieces around instructional technology and AI use and everything within that. And then we had a group focused on finance, where we were able to look at our reimbursement policy and really make sure that it matches the needs of our district and sets staff members up for success in how they are reimbursed for, or how the district proactively pays for things like conferences for staff members. And then we were also able to look at our records management systems and just like tweak that policy to make sure it accurately reflected the roles and responsibilities within the district. So I'm super excited about being able to continue to get, you know, twice as much work done and have that perspective of the community, of parents, of staff members right in that space, so that we're able to really like troubleshoot and think through the needs more quickly in policy. So that is our policy update. We made some final changes to those policies, and they will be on next month's agenda, just so that everyone on the policy committee, we want to kind of go slow to go fast at first and make sure that everyone on that committee has a chance to review changes first, and then they will be up on the next board meeting. Did I miss anything?
I have a question, Amanda.
Yeah.
How many people are on the committee now as compared to prior to sort of opening it up?
Yeah, so there are 3 board members, and so previously the committee had been 3 board members plus the superintendent. There are still the 3 board members plus the superintendent, plus now 4 more members.
So just
and then 2, which puts us at 8. And we had talked about there being, that's a great question, no more than 10 people there. What we ended up deciding to do with central office staff, or other like school-based leadership potentially too, is instead of having a standing person, like it doesn't make sense for Christy to be in the policy committee every single time if we're not talking about finance. But if we are talking about finance, we really can't do it without her. So those last 2 spots will be sort of folks from central office who come in as needed. So last week we had Christy and Cheryl come and be there to be in those respective groups to be able to give that perspective. And then depending on what policies are being discussed, I'll work with Leslie and Dr. Bailey to proactively invite the like central office staff whose perspectives we need.
Okay. So just one more question. Those were the only 4 people that expressed interest in it, or you had to kind of limit it? Or?
No, we did have to make some decisions. There was actually quite a bit of interest in that, and so we did have to make some decisions on who we selected. There were a lot of strong candidates. We looked for diversity of perspective, I think, in terms of people's backgrounds, in terms of whether their connection was to like the younger kids or the older kids, what they brought to the table in terms of, you know, professional experience. And we had that discussion in like the open meeting 2 times ago. And yeah, I'm excited though, because it also, I feel like, gives us a kind of like a bench of people who are also interested in potentially engaging in other aspects as parents, as staff, as community members as well.
Awesome, thank you. And board president report, there's a few things that we need to be keeping in mind. The first is superintendent evaluation. The first milestone for us is to file a notice about the mechanism which we will choose to evaluate our superintendent. My recommendation to the board is to switch from NSBA standards to NISCUS standards. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at those, but I generally feel like the NISCUS ones are a little bit more pointed. NSBA is a little bit broader, a little bit vague, and also has areas that sort of overlap and bleed into each other. Everybody agree with that sentiment?
Just a comment. It's interesting because the NSBA aligns more with the system that's used to observe and evaluate teachers.
Yeah, that makes sense. They still use the, is it Heidi?
Yeah.
So they both use the same scale. But yeah, I just remember using NSBA in the past and sometimes just being a little bit unclear on what exactly we're supposed to be thinking about for that specific area. And then, as we did last year, we will use Super Eval as our tool. Takes a lot of the back and forth and administrative work out of it and wrangles all of the data into one easy
Can you make sure
place.
that we're added to that?
Absolutely, yes. And we can also have an opportunity in the future to get training on the platform as well. Second thing sort of related is a superintendent search. Our goal is to have a full-time replacement in place by July 1st of next year. So in order to meet that deadline, we do need to get started soon. My goal would be to have a few different options for the board to weigh at the next meeting in October. The usual candidates would be folks like Questar, HYA, Alan Pohl. You had one other that you...
That's for the search, you mean?
Yes, to conduct the search for us. And we've done it a few different ways in the past. I think the biggest thing for us to really consider outside of cost is, what we want that level of community engagement to look like, and how do we want to get, buy-in and input from all the various stakeholders. So that's something for us all to think about and to have in mind. If anybody has any thoughts, definitely please share them with me, and then once we have some options, we can see who we think are the best fits and invite a few of them to present to us in a meeting.
So just for clarification, can we search for the superintendent ourselves, or do we have to farm that out?
In the past, we've always worked with an outside group. We can definitely, whether I've done it both with Questar and with HYA, each of them have asked the board for any recommendations or people that we would want to have them consider. But the goal is for them to handle all the postings, the publicity, the outreach to candidates. They would handle the community engagement piece of it, really spearhead that whole entire process for us, which will last for anywhere from, I'd say, 6 to 8 months. So it is a lot of work and a lot to stay on top of. And in addition to all the logistics, there are things like HR and hiring practices and privacy
I
information.
feel like they really offered us a lot of really valuable services the last time we went through this in terms of checking through candidates and.
Which one, Kirsten?
We didn't use BOSI's. Who did we
It
use?
was HYA.
Okay, yeah, we used a private firm, HYA, and I thought that they were very effective in addressing, in reaching out to a broad range of candidates and being aware of surrounding circumstances in other districts. And I thought that they offered some things that really were a lot of time and dedication that demonstrated that they're a professional company doing it on a day-to-day basis. So they're really dedicating those hours. And I don't think that it would be as effective to have just us doing it internally in terms of trying to reach out to all the places that they reached out. I don't think it would be as good.
And was that for both Spindler and Penniman, or just Penniman?
With the first one, it was with Questar. They conducted that first search. I would say the big differences between the two were Questar did a little bit more robust community engagement and actually had different committees of stakeholders that interviewed different candidates and sent feedback to the board. Obviously, it's free, which is beneficial. I think one of the downsides to it was that it did take a lot longer, and they're doing this in addition to all of their other responsibilities as running a Questar. So at times it was hard to keep the momentum and keep the pace up. And then, HYA, they did focus groups with different stakeholders to see what qualities and the community wanted out of a superintendent, and we used that as a rubric on how we graded the different candidates. So it's a little bit of a different approach. I mean, I think they both have their positives and negatives, but there are other firms out there, including Allen Poll and a few others that I forget. But I'll collect a bunch of information, send it to everybody, and we can see which ones we'd be most interested in hearing from.
And we as the board did conduct the interviews, if that helps you feel like it's not being taken away from our role as a board. We're still the ones conducting the interviews and making the final decision.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
I have a question. What is the cost of outsourcing to find a superintendent?
I think it varies from firm to firm. I don't want to speak without the exact information in front of me, but I would say anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. So yeah, we'll keep that conversation going. I'll collect some material and distribute it to everybody. Third thing is board goals. In addition to the superintendent evaluation, we should also be conducting a board self-evaluation. We started it last year. We did not finish. So I think that's at the top of our list of goals, is to finish it. Has not been something that's been done since I've been on the board. So I think it is a top priority. And just so everybody has sort of a sense of where we went last year with our goals, the sort of focus of them was a student first mentality, so keeping that in mind with all of our policies and presentations that come to the board. The board self-evaluation was a priority, so I think that should still be up there. Last year, policy was something that the board identified as an area of focus, including the code of conduct, which I think is still really something that should remain on our list of priorities. As we saw last year, it's very complicated process, but now that we have a larger policy committee, hopefully we can make a little bit more progress. And the last goal was around community engagement. That's where the welcome brochure that we have here came from, and some of the efforts to recognize compliments of teachers and staff members. So everybody think through that, and we can have further conversation a next board meeting about the goals that we want to commit to for this year. Any initial questions, comments?
Well, I'll chime in right now with, Maureen and I just had a little side conversation earlier about, I had asked about moving the location from time to time, and I did speak to Mr. Wheeler about whether or not he would be able to film, and his response to me was, as long as we have Wi-Fi, we should be able to still go live. So I would maybe like for us to consider moving the location. Not that I don't enjoy sitting underneath these beautiful lights, but
Yeah, I remember in the
if
past.
we want to engage the community, we can go to them or to a place where we can all explore together.
Yeah, I like that idea. In the past, we've gone to MC Smith, but I think you're suggesting going even further. And yeah, I think we just need to check policy and law and make sure it's permissible for us to hold it at locations where that are not owned by the school. Okay, and then the last thing, especially since we will have a new board member joining shortly, I would like to suggest another board retreat in early October. Our next board meeting is not until October 21st. So then in the coming days, I can send out a form for availability, and hopefully we can find a night where we can spend 2 or 3 hours just continuing to work through board communication, board norms, and just make sure that we're all on the same page about how we're functioning moving forward. So I thought our last one was really, really productive, so I'd love to keep that work up. Great. So that does bring us to an early executive session. I make a motion to enter into executive session at 6:22 p.m. to discuss the employment history of a particular person or persons.
Second.
All in favor? All right, great. We'll try to be as quick as possible. Thank you for your patience. Ready for your patience, I make a motion to exit executive session at 6:48 PM.
Second.
All in favor? Brings us to our personnel agenda. Make a motion to approve personnel agenda items A 1 through 5 and B 1 through 10.
Second.
All in favor?
1 through 5 and 1 through 10. You gotta keep that one separate. I don't know which one that is.
It's consent agenda.
It's not on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you. Brings us to
Oh, I got it. Sorry.
public forum. Leslie, do we have anybody sign up?
We have Wayne Kinney.
Great. As everybody knows, each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak. We cannot entertain any comments about school district personnel or students. Turn it over to you, Mr. Kinney.
Excuse me. Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, Wayne Kinney, science teacher at the high school, past president of Hudson Teachers. Since you guys brought up the topic of the superintendent search, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in because I was involved in the last 2. Process-wise, the first one I thought was a better process because it involved everybody at more steps. We had an interview committee, union presidents, community members that interviewed first, and then the board did the final interviews, final decisions. That was much more involved in the second process, and what I liked about it was at least if my members came to me after we hired somebody and they asked me questions like, was this the best candidate, was this that, I could give them more than the second time around when I could just say, I don't know, because we didn't know anybody. So who you choose to use is up to you, but if they can do that process, I think that is the better way to go to get everybody more involved. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that feedback.
That's it.
That's it? Okay, great. Brings us to our superintendent's report. Dr. Bailey.
We opened school. And that was at the heavy lift by a lot of people in the district, including our facilities director, Tyler Kurtzman, and all of the staff that were working literally up until the very last minute that students came through the door. Food service, Lisa McGovern and her staff, they were ready to go. Again, as soon as students came through the door. Bill Mullerhead and transportation, which I don't know if you know, we contract with at least 8 different bus companies to do what we do every day. And I won't tell you that everything was perfect on the first day, but I will tell you that I've seen calamitous first days, and the first day was pretty good, and we've only continued to get better around that work. And of course, the clerical staff and the counseling staff and our building administrators managed to pull things together, get schedules out, greet students, do their orientations, and just, having seen a lot of openings of school, it was very pleasant to be here for this opening of school. I wanted to talk a little more about Clay Target. I mentioned I would reach out to our insurance company and ask their advice, because obviously that is a very reasonable question of them. And when I called the insurance agent, she was silent on the other end of the phone. She said, "That doesn't sound like a good idea." But I said, well, here are some other schools that currently have them. And since Utica National represents something like 400 districts in New York State, I said Burnt Hills, Stillwater, Lansingburg, Tamarack, Mahonison, Columbia, Voorheesville, Greenville. And she reached out to the carriers and they said, absolutely. And we do it at no charge. What they did give us, though, is they had some guardrails around what we do to ensure that we're doing it correctly. They recommended that we have a hold harmless agreement in consultation with the school's attorney about the range of the club that they're utilizing, and hold harmless agreements must be reviewed, as I said. They talked about how they're stored, and their recommendation is they are stored at the facility, and they're obviously not being transported by children. They talked about the types of facility and that the weapons are stored separately from ammunition and children do not have access to that. And that all rules and regulations for participation be in writing with those expectations around safety. And students should be given appropriate training, and they should follow the rules and guidance set forth by the National Skeet Shooting Association, and they included a link to that. So if the board so choose, and I know there are some other things around this process, there is a extracurricular club development process that the district follows, which includes some pieces from the union, and it includes some pieces from the staff, and it includes some things from the board. But we know that the path is doable if the board would like to pursue it. And I really, the reason why I want to talk about it again is I know that the people who presented, Joe and others, very enthusiastic about it. And I know that some of the families in the community are as well. At the school district where I am, they actually have one of these clubs. But I didn't want them to proceed if, when it came to the board, you weren't comfortable with it. So it's not a vote per se, but it's just to get a sense from the board of should we proceed on this path and follow all these directions and get it done.
Is there any, recognizing you might not know the answer to this in all of your time here so far, but is there any process of sort of gauging levels of student interest before we go through all of that? Because I think, like, if there are clubs that are going to serve 10, 20, 30 kids, great if we're going through all of this for like one interested student, and that wouldn't apply just to this, but I think in general, I'm wondering if there's a process for like gauging enough interest.
Absolutely. I mean, it's true of any club. We wouldn't go to the effort to trying to create one unless they knew. I'm going to guess that there absolutely will be, knowing, that we have families that start in the center of the city and go all the way out through all those farms, that we have children who, would want to participate in it. But we absolutely find out.
Yeah, and part of the club charter process is that you start with at least 4 students who are like the officers of that club. So I think that in and of itself is a pretty good indication that there's interest and that there's students and staff who are really going to, drum up interest and, just based on Joe's enthusiasm and, spreading that throughout the school, I think I can't imagine there wouldn't be a lot of interest.
So what are the next steps?
The next step would be to follow the club creation process, just as Mark was talking about.
Paperwork?
Yeah, it's club charter MOU with the HTA, and I think it's just those 2 things.
Yeah, in most cases, extracurricular clubs lie in the teacher union contract. It doesn't, if someone from the unit doesn't want to do a club, it is possible sometimes that people from outside of that can do that.
But yeah, thank you for following up on that. Let's definitely keep going.
Yep. We have the APC contract that is on the consent agenda. I just wanted to fill you in on some of the thought process around it. There were about 11 substantial changes that our attorney believed were necessary. It had to do with warranty, had to do with ownership, it had to do with communication. And I did send them to the company late last week, and they sent them back, and we're very close. We're like 2 or 3 things where, we're debating a number of, months and things like that. But the reason why the resolution was adjusted to give the board president and superintendent authorization to approve the contract is in order for us to meet our summer timeline. This is the best window, best opportunity for us to do it between now and the October meeting, and as soon as possible, because we all know the materials, the supply chain. That's what I was going to say. The supply chain is not great frequently, and for us to be able to bid contracts or to attract the right people, we need ample time to do it. And as with everything, there's state ed approval too. But for Mark and I to approve the contract once our attorney believes it to be in a state that is in the best interest of the district. That's why that resolution was adjusted like that. Does anybody have any questions about that? I have a weird request, and we were just in the facilities meeting talking about the pool. And this might be the highest used pool I've ever seen in my life, which is a great thing. It's a wonderful resource for the community. And as is true in most places, we're frequently looking for lifeguards to fill positions because they might be 6 to 8 in the morning, and then they're noon to 2, so they can do some PE classes, and then they're 3 to 5, and then they're 7 to 9. They're all over the schedule, and it requires a lot of people rather than one that works a 14-hour day. And I know that we have some people who are interested in it, but we absolutely did not have an opportunity to onboard them while we were trying to hire custodians and kitchen staff and instructional staff, so we prioritized a little bit there. I wanted to ask the board's permission that if a lifeguard applies, is certified to be a lifeguard, has been fingerprinted, and is eligible to work in the district, if you would be okay with us allowing to onboard them and allow them to work prior to the next meeting and appoint them retroactively.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And the last thing is we have a lot going on. The junior high Meet the Teacher Night is tomorrow night from 5 to 7. The high school is next Tuesday at 5:30, and the elementary is Wednesday from 5 to 7. And after many, many years of being corrected, we have homecoming week. Every single one of our teams is celebrating homecoming during the week of September 29th to August 4th, with August 4 being homecoming dance. October, thank you so much. August. It's very late homecoming this
That's
year.
some wishful thinking that we're still in August.
August 4th, thank you. And I'm excited to see what Blue Hawk Pride looks like here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So that brings us to the consensus agenda. We have a request to pull consensus agenda item E for its own discussion and vote. So then I will make a motion to accept consensus agenda items A through D and F through O.
Second.
All in favor? And then consensus agenda item E, I just want to say, I know we've had a lot of feedback from the community in the past about the size of our central office administrative team. And, we have a few less bodies than we did in the past. And I appreciate Dr. Bailey's plan to bring in 2 part-time consultants instead of more full-time bodies. I think it's fiscally responsible while still meeting the needs of our students. And yeah, if anybody else has anything to add about discussion, we can then vote on item E.
No, I think the only thing that I would add is that really important that we maintain and keep up with all of the grant funding and the title funding that comes into the district, and making sure that we have the staff to be able to manage that, because if we lapse on that, then our students lose.
Absolutely. So I would make a motion to accept consensus agenda item E.
Second.
And all in favor? So,
I'm trying to see.
yeah.
I think I'm the only one that's not.
Okay.
Okay. Brings us to new business and our finance committee charter.
I knew I forgot something when I gave the policy update, and this was it. One of the other things that we worked on was the charter for the launching of our finance committee. So this charter launches a new committee, a new board committee specifically, focusing on, let me pull up the exact language because we wordsmith this exact language, so let me get it right. Providing independent advice, assistance, and recommendations to the board about the district's financial planning process, including budget development, implementation, and evaluation, maintenance of dedicated reserves, monitoring of unreserved fund balance, and fiscal reporting and transparency.
Great.
I
Yeah,
have
I
a
like.
question. Sorry.
Oh yeah, go for it.
What is like the main difference between that committee and the audit committee?
That's what I was just going to talk about.
I was thinking about the same.
So audit committee is mandated by New York State, and those are controls that the district is mandated to perform to make sure that we are spending money and have all the necessary processes in place to avoid instances of fraud or malfeasance. And it was recommended to us by our attorneys that we keep the finance committee separate from the audit committee. The audit committee has a very specific and narrow charter. It's only allowed to discuss things pertaining to the internal and external audit. So a lot of times in that committee meeting, we'd find ourselves bumping up against items that we wanted to talk about but couldn't under the purview of that charter. You will see schools that have them combined, but again, it was recommended to us that that we have them as separate entities. And the goal here is to really make the financial status of the district, both short-term and long-term, a year-round conversation. In the past, it's only really come up in budget seasons. We talk about it 3 months out of the year and are kind of sort of rushing to get a budget out. This will give us more time to really dive in, come up with not only a budget for the next school year, but also a long-term plan, which as a district I think is very important for us right now. So yeah, my recommendation would be to have us vote on this next week. Next meeting, sorry, I keep saying that. And at that point, we will also have a full board so we can discuss who we want to appoint to that committee and if there need to be changes to any of the other committee appointments. Make sense?
That's a good idea.
Cool. What'd you say, Dana?
It's a good idea.
Okay, great.
I have to lose my teacher voice.
So that does bring us to the vacant board seat. After a lot of discussion, the board submitted a call for letters of interest to fill the board seat vacated by Calvin Lewis. We received 4 letters of interest from Christina Asby, Michael Zabella, Peter Meyer, and Steve Peck. As per our policy, it requires a majority vote to appoint another member of the public to this seat. So that would need 4 of us to maintain a consensus. But yeah, love to open it up for conversation and discussion. And yeah, can start with you, Maureen.
I want to start by saying that I'm happy that there are so many people that expressed interest in the board seat. I think that's really telling of the dedication and interest in the school district. I think it was, in the past it's been a little lacking. And I'm impressed with the credentials. With that said, my choice is Mike Zabella, because for a couple of reasons. One, he's been at every board meeting since the election, and he went through the process to become a board member and came close to becoming a board member. He was, there were 3 positions, and he was the 4th person out of 6, I believe, altogether, candidates. And I also believe that, or feel that he will be helpful with the capital project, with his professional and business experience. And so, but I just want to say that I'm impressed with the other 2 candidates, and I hope that you, in in May, when we have another election, that you come forward and go through the process and run for a seat. Thanks.
Diana?
So I wrote my things down so that I wouldn't forget any of this stuff. But he was nominated by 100 community members at our last election, questioned by the student council. Community members came out to vote for him. If there was a fourth position open, it would have been his anyway. He's attended every meeting even before I was brought on here, and definitely would be an asset to the facilities team. So I choose my voice to recommend Mike Zabella.
Based on the letters that were submitted and the information that people put forth answering this question, I think that Christina Aspey has a lot of strengths to bring to this position. I think that the experience as a civil rights attorney that was listed here, thinking about grant funding and thinking about sort of utilizing those two pieces of her background, are pieces here that I think are not skill sets that very many of us on the board currently have. And so I think that rounds, she would be my first choice in that, like, rounding out the board in that way.
Okay, great.
Well, I also am grateful to the people who submitted letters of interest, and appreciate the time and effort that people put into these, and the thought. I, too, like Amanda, would also recommend Christina Aspey, particularly because of her professional background and experience, or considerable experience, in an area that I think can really, like Amanda said, round out or fill out our knowledge on this board. She is also a considerable community presence, and a person who I think can also, have a lot of people speak on her behalf in the community.
Great. Yeah, I have a lot of the same feelings, appreciate all of the interest. I think everybody would contribute something to the board. Peter Meyer obviously has a lot of experience, and I've learned a lot from him in the past. Steve Peck is also a graduate and has some very interesting experience, and was the editor of the Academic Exchange Quarterly, which I'd love to know more about. Christina, I appreciate her presence in the district and at the school, and the bike bus, and everything that she brings professionally. And I think for me, seeing Mr. Zabella, show up at, as other board members have said, every single board meeting for pretty much the past, year and a half, is something that I would, think deserves recognition. Also aware that, very close to, being in his shoes myself, and, being in the fourth position, and, think that is, took a lot of effort, and took a lot of, just work to get to that point. So I would, while it is close, would definitely put my vote towards Mr. Zabella as well. So that is 3-2. We do need 4. And yeah, so I would have to ask Amanda or Kirsten if they'd are willing to change their perspective. Alternately, we would have to table the discussion and wait until the next board meeting when Mr. Mackerer is available again, and either do it on October 21st or find a day for a special meeting.
I know that Matt was aware that he was not going to be able to be part of this conversation, but I would really value his input, and I would love to table this actually and wait till the next meeting, particularly since it's only 2 weeks away. It's not a long meeting, or not a long interval.
It is over a month. It's October 21st. Yeah. So
Well, now I'm just going to grumble to myself while I think.
Anybody else have any other thoughts?
he say anything to you about?
But if he's not here, he can't vote.
Yeah, I don't want to, we can't accept his vote.
I don't think we have a policy for proxies.
Yeah.
What's the deadline that we need the position filled by again?
The only guardrails that we have is that if it were to be filled by a public vote, it would need to be within 90 days. But since we are appointing, it is at our discretion.
And once we appoint, that person is sworn in immediately, correct?
Yes, yeah, they would be sworn in immediately. They would have to run again in the May 2026 election.
Mm-hmm.
If they win, they would maintain their seat on the board. If somebody else wins, they would that person would be sworn in immediately after that election, serve the remainder of this term and then the next 3 years. Leslie?
So, they would serve until the vote night. And then whoever got the highest number of votes would be sworn in that night.
Interesting. Gotta
So-
love the details
so
of
in May.
state law.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's kind of bizarre. It's not even a full term,
No.
No, well, I mean, it's not even close. It's not even a
No.
full year.
right?
Mm,
Wow.
I'm sorry? Ms. Asby is asking if she can withdraw.
I don't see why not. I'm sorry to see her do so.
The
But I
next
certainly,
election is coming really
we
fast.
certainly aren't going to lasso her and drag her to the table.
All right, it sounds like, in the voices from afar here, that what we're saying, I can shift my vote, recognizing, I think again, like the contributions, the vote that happened in May, and we can move forward in this moment. And then I would just say I would encourage, right, when there are more seats up again in May, I'm really excited to see more people be a part of this and bring more perspectives in, and really appreciate, the community perspectives here.
And that was very gracious to do that, for sure.
For the folks listening at home, Christina Asby has withdrawn,
Okay, great.
since she doesn't have a microphone, and not everybody could hear that.
Like we're on a talk show all of a sudden.
All right, so then I make a motion to appoint Mr. Michael Zabella as our new board member.
Second.
All in favor? Great. Mr. Zabella, if you are available, you can come up here and Leslie can swear you in right now.
I, Michael A. Isabella, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of board member according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations, Mr. Zabella.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you again, Ms. Asby, Mr. Meyer, and Mr. Peck.
And do we want to appoint him to a committee?
Can we wait on that, because we're gonna talk about the finance committee at the next one, and that might reshuffle things?
Yeah, was that a question
Let's
about
just-
committees?
Appointing to him to a committee, I think we should just wait until we get finance up and running, and then we can reshuffle everybody.
Yeah. Yep. And Mr. Zabella, Leslie will be in touch about getting you your email address and your board member packet, and we'll all chat soon.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all.
So
Okay.
does that mean he's coming to the executive session now that he's sworn in? I mean, he's not gonna sit down now, right? Because we're not finished.
That's a good question. I would,
don't know.
I would,
I think
I would wait until the next meeting, after he's received his board member packet and has everything. But I will definitely make sure that, over the course of the next week or so, Mr. Isabella is up to speed on all of the, things that are happening within the board, including all of the confidential matters as well. Great. That brings us to our public forum. Leslie, did anybody else sign up?
Samuel Santiago.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Santiago. As you heard, each speaker gets 3 minutes. We are unable to entertain any comments about district personnel or district students. Please don't expect a response at this time. If you have any questions, we'll make sure the proper staff member gets back to you.
Hey guys, my name is Sam Santiago. I got a concern. I was here this morning or this afternoon watching the game, and I went into the restroom and there's kids everywhere. One of the kids was rolling up contraband. I had to tell the kid, I said, that's uncalled for. So I spoke to my wife who said this was going on, and so I just came down here to address it, let you guys know, so see if it gets done, because the safety right now out there with kids all over the place is not good. Especially the way the world is these days. Somebody sneaks in this building and sits here overnight. Tomorrow morning, we don't know who's in this building.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what I have to say.
all right. That's a fair point. Appreciate that. And Leslie has your contact information. We'll make sure we follow up with you if
Please.
there's anything else. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Board discussion. Anybody else have anything to add that we have not addressed yet?
I got to attend the Chalk the School back to school night right before school started at the elementary school, and just so, like, kudos to the school staff and I believe the PTO there who put that on. It was a really nice way for, I think, kids to hang out in front of the school building before the first day of school, and, like, you know, my own kids made hopscotch leading into the building, and I think that that helped with some beginning back to school jitters.
Amazing. On the subject of PTO, I know some of the leaders from the junior high school PTO have moved on to restart the Booster Club, which we're very grateful for. I believe junior high PTO is now being run by Mr. Richard Scoffier, who is a student in the junior high school. He helped throw the trivia nights last year, which were a big success. But I know he is looking for help, and so any parents of the junior high school students who are around tomorrow night, I know he'd love to chat with you and see what we can do to keep that organization going. Okay, important dates. We have a policy committee meeting October 14th, 2025 in the high school library from 5 to 7 p.m. We have a facilities committee meeting October 21st, 2025 in the district conference room 4 to 5 p.m. And we have a regular Board of Education meeting October 21st, 2025 in the high school auditorium.
Mark, we moved the time to 5 o'clock for the facilities.
For facilities?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so the facilities committee meeting on October 21st, 2025 will be from 5 to 6 p.m.
Can you change that in the calendar too? Because it says 4 on the calendar.
I think the real question for that date is there a door prize for the visitor who comes in the best costume? It's right before Halloween.
Okay, all right. So board meeting in costume. Gotcha.
Come on.
I was going to say, you know, to the point of what Mark's talking about, we had discussed that there was an ominous absence of dates on the website. If you're keeping an eye on the homepage, our new communications person from BOCES has been filling She's been digging and digging for information for anyone at home or on the board. The Google Calendar that's on the homepage of our district website has everything on it. And then when you go to each of the individual buildings, it shows just that building when you go to those pages. So it's slowly becoming more robust, which is helpful for even me.
Yeah, that's amazing. I appreciate that.
Can we add the board committees and stuff to that? They're not, I just pulled it up. That would be a great thing to add, I think, just so
And we
that.
just,
community
at
members-
our last meeting, we just talked about accessibility too. So like the facilities committee was in the conference room at the district office, which is not really easy to get into, that we would be making sure that the meetings were in a place where the public could be able to enter the building and get to where the meeting is.
Makes sense. Okay, so we do have a need for a second executive session. The board I make a motion to enter executive session at 7:23 p.m. for the purposes of discussing the employment history of a particular person or persons.
Second.
All in favor? And there will be no further business after this executive session. Thank you all for being here.